This is Mark Bell from Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West. And today I'm going to share with you the Stronger in 30 Days program. I want to make sure that you guys really and truly understand what's going on with the program. So I'm going to walk you through step by step. A lot of times with online programming, what can happen is a coach gives you some information, you take that information, the 5 sets of 5, the coach has a perceived notion of the way that you're going to perform those 5 sets of 5, and you have a different interpretation of that 5 sets of 5. Kind of like listening to music. Everyone's got their own interpretation of different songs. Working out is no different. So what I want to try to do is have you understand my interpretation of what I wrote down and why I wrote it down, and even specifically take you through some of the exercises. So without further ado, the Stronger in 30 Days program, one of the key factors to the entire program is that you do not miss any reps. And to even expand upon that a little bit further, you shouldn't be in any jeopardy of missing any reps. The last rep that you perform of, say, something like 5 sets of 5 or 6 sets of 4 or your 4 sets of 6, your 24th rep, your 25th rep should look like the first rep that you perform for the day. So think about that. Your first rep that you do and your last rep should look identical. Every rep that you do should actually look identical. They should all look the same. They should all look similar. We're not trying to just practice, we're trying to practice perfectly. And so one of the reasons why the percentages aren't super high, a lot of people might like to live in the 85, 90%, 95% range. Some people like to go heavier and heavier every single week and start to get into PR land every single week. But what I found for myself is that that is very dangerous territory and can lead to injury, and it can also lead to just you burning out in general. This is going to help you build success. Success breeds success. You got to keep making those reps, and you have to do them the right way. You have to perform the exercise the right way. Silent Mike inside the walls of Super Training Gym, I remember him and Dan, he programs for Dan, and I remember Dan kind of saying, hey, I want to go up and weight. And Mike said, when was the last time you've ever performed this amount of weight for this amount of reps and this amount of sets? And Dan said, never. And Mike said, okay, make sure you're making every rep look identical, make sure every rep is perfect, and then next week we can go up and weight. Similar principle here, we're trying to be perfect. The second key factor to the Stronger in 30 Days program for the bench press is that all the repetitions are paused. I like to have people pause the bench press. It helps to idiot-proof form and technique, and it helps to eliminate people throwing their butts off the bench. Another thing is, let's make sure that the reps and the sets are all performed within the standards of a powerlifting meet. Those of you that are unfamiliar with a powerlifting meet, make sure when you unrack the weight that you hold it at the top. Make sure when you bring the weights down that you hold it, pause it on your chest for a 1 count, then press the weights back up. Once you get to lockout, hold it there for a second and repeat until your repetitions are done. Always finish your last repetition for a 1 or 2 count at the top 2, making sure that it's clear that you lock the weight out, and then rack the weight. Making sure your hips stay on the floor, make sure that your butt stays on the bench, and making sure you're not moving your feet around. And sometimes some people get really squirmy underneath that bar, and they start to look like a cockroach in the sun burning underneath a magnifying glass. I don't know how many of you people have tortured insects like I did when I was a kid, but that's what I did. Anyway, moving on. To take you through the warm-up. So this is a unique warm-up. It's a lot different than some of the other things you may have seen before. We're going to start working out before we even work out, and we're going to get a lot of work in. We're going to build our work capacity within the warm-up. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take you guys through some dumbbell bench pressing. So what we have written here, and the way that it's written in supersets, we have A1 and A2. You're going to go back and forth between those two exercises. You're going to perform A1, which is a flat dumbbell press, and you're going to do 4 sets of 10 reps. Then you're going to go to A2 immediately with no rest. You're going to hork on a slingshot, and you're going to do the lat activation exercise, and you're going to perform 4 sets of 10 of that. You're going to rest for 1 minute, and you're going to repeat. You go back and forth between A1 and A2. When performing the dumbbell presses, make sure that, again, that you're using good form. By now, you guys should understand or have a good understanding of what good form looks like. You guys should know the guy in the corner that acts weird all the time in the gym, that has his headphones blaring, and that is throwing all the weights around all crazy. You should know that that guy's form is awful. So try to have good form. The better that your form is and the more locked in you are to each and every exercise, the more benefit you're going to get. So, you know, some may say, why would we be working on dumbbell presses before we actually bench? Isn't that going to pre-fatigue us? The answer is yes, it's going to pre-fatigue you a little bit. But what we're after, again, is we're trying to increase work capacity. Many of you don't have the work capacity that someone who is stronger than you has, and that's what we're after. That's what we're working towards. And so by getting in some of this work, we're going to be kind of sneaking up on people. We're getting in some extra work, building up the proper muscles for bench pressing. And when you do your actual workout, you will be in a slightly fatigued state, but it's going to make you work that much harder, and it's also going to force you to use a little bit less weight than normal, which is actually a good thing, because using less weight is going to reduce our risk of injury. You're going to get more out of using less. The overall goal of the dumbbell work is to increase our general fitness, and by increasing our general fitness and our work capacity, you're going to be able to recover from your workouts faster, and you'll also be able to recover faster in between your sets. So the better shape that you're in, the faster you're going to be able to recover, the more work you're going to be able to handle. The dumbbell work should not be hard. It shouldn't be excruciating. I'm asking you to do 4 sets of 10. Get a little bit of warm up in there before you start. But once you start, you're just going to kind of go light, medium, medium-ish again, and then heavy. Try to find a weight that is going to be challenging. But again, you're in no danger of missing reps. Maybe you have like 2 or 3 reps left in the tank. So moving on, we're going to get into the actual warm-up for the bench press, which is pretty self-explanatory, but I just want to explain a couple things quickly. Here at Super Training Gym, we like to try to cheat the system, meaning we're going to use less repetitions in our warm-up than we may actually perform during the working sets. So for example, if I was to do a set of 6 in the bench press, I may warm up with the really, really light weights, the bar, 95 pounds, 135 pounds. The rep range might be a little higher right there because I am trying to increase some blood flow in the upper body, and I am trying to get my body ready and adjusted to the exercise that I'm about to perform. However, once we start to get a little bit heavier in weight, that's when we start to chop down the reps, because we don't want to waste any energy. We want to keep all of our energy for those main sets as we get towards the end. And we call that cheating the system. And so we'll drag that on. We'll start to hit triples and doubles and singles all the way until we get to our final working set. The example that's laid out here, somebody's going to do the bar for 20 reps. They do 95 pounds for 10 reps. They do 135 pounds for 6, 185 for 3, and then they break it down right into singles from there. 205, 220. Then they get into their working sets, which the working sets are is 235 pounds for 6 repetitions. Keep in mind when you're warming up that the main thing that we're really looking for is to get your overall body temperature up, and we're trying to get our nervous system heightened for what you're about to do. So once you hit that last single in your warm-up, you should be 100% ready to get into the sets of 6 that are prescribed for the first week. Now, before we get into the workout, the actual workout itself and the breakdown of each week, I want to tell you something very, very important. Do not miss any reps. Do not be in jeopardy of missing any reps. Do not teach yourself how to miss reps. Make sure all your reps and all your sets are clean. If you're going to video it, send it to us. Make sure you're doing it the right way. I'll watch it. We'll have some of our people watch it. Try to tag us, get our attention. I want to see your progress. I want to see what you're doing. But make sure that you're doing it the right way. Make sure your butt's staying on the bench. Make sure you're not moving your feet all over the place. Make sure you're locking out evenly. And make sure you're not missing any reps. I can't stress that enough. Everybody always wants to go heavier and heavier and heavier, and they're lifting outside of their means. Stay in your own lane, stay within your means, and keep training. Keep your head down, keep your blinders on, and focus in on yourself, and don't worry about what other people are doing. Here's the program. From week 1 to week 3, we're going to be dropping the repetitions. We're going to be dropping the repetitions each week. From week number 1, we're going with 4 sets of 6. Week number 2 is 5 sets of 5. Week number 3 is 6 sets of 4. And then finally, in week number 4, we're dropping the volume down quite a bit and dropping the reps down a little bit more and doing 3 sets of 2. Each week we are adding a set, and each week we're also dropping a repetition until we get down to that final week where we're really dropping the volume down quite a bit because we're trying to get ready. We're trying to reload for that last week, which will be the 5th week where we're going to actually test our bench press. So week 1, you're doing 4 sets of 6 and you use 75% of your max. Now when you calculate this out, do not calculate it out with 75% of your max that you did in high school with your buddy spotting, or where he helped you lift the weight. It has to be something that you did clean on your own, and it has to be recent. Nothing from 2-3 years ago, nothing from 5 years ago. It has to be something more current, something that you can actually do right now, something that you could actually go to the gym at any time. You could wake up, roll out of bed. You're better off with a lower percentage, or better off underestimating yourself. You can always add weight. Once you start the workout, and once you get into the teeth of the workout, you can start to adjust the weight a little bit from there. What we're going to do when we're done performing the 4 sets of 6 reps, remember, all reps are done with a pause. We're going to work on a slingshot, and we're going to do 3 to 4 sets of 3 reps at 80% of your max. 3 to 4 sets of 3 repetitions at 80% of your max. Again, even with the slingshot on, all repetitions are paused. That's a really important point. Week number 2, as we move into week number 2, we're going to do 5 sets of 5. Again, we're going to use 75%. This is a flat wave. The percentages are the same all the way across, which is a little different. Not a lot of people have seen that or have heard of that before, and it can sometimes, in some cases, leave you with a lot more to desire, and that's actually what you want from your training. You want to be hungry when you're training. When you're training, you want to be thinking about lifting more all the time, but not actually always lifting more. Because it's not always about lifting more weight, it's also about getting better and improving yourself and improving your form. Not always about just adding on more weight to the barbell. Week number 2, 5 sets of 5, 75% of the max. Once we finish that up, we're going to throw on a slingshot again. Once you put on the slingshot, you're going to do 3 to 4 sets of 3 repetitions at 80% of your max. Moving on to week number 3. Week number 3, we're going for 6 sets. Gets to be quite a bit of sets with 4 reps. And again, we're going to use 75% of your max. Now, once you get into the 2nd week, once you get into the 3rd week, I will allow you to add a little bit of weight if it's there. But you're all going to say it's there. You're all going to say that it feels good. So that's where it gets to be a little bit tricky. I would like you to still start with 75%. And if you're going to add any weight, only add a little bit of weight. By a little bit of weight, I mean only like 5 or 10 pounds total. Try not to add too much extra weight, because then you'll be in jeopardy of missing reps and you'll be screwing everything up. And we still need you to pause those repetitions as well. And we also need you to get through all 6 sets. So things I've done from time to time is sometimes I'll do 2 or 3 sets in a row at the same weight and I'll add 5 pounds. And then I'll do another 2 or 3 sets in a row and I'll add another 5 pounds, stuff like that. So you have a little bit of freedom in week 2 to add a little bit of weight, and also in week 3. Here we go to week number 4. Now we're starting to use quite a bit more weight. We actually bumped the percentage up quite a bit. We dropped the repetitions down. We dropped the sets down. We're doing, in week number 4, we are doing 3 sets of 2 reps, and we're going to use 85% of our max. 3 sets of 2 reps at 85% of our max. Again, the reps are paused. We're throwing a slingshot on, and we're going to let her rip, and we're going to do 3 sets of 1 with the slingshot on. I've had a lot of people ask me the question of, hey, if I can do the 90% without the slingshot, if I can do some of the work without the slingshot, should I do it? The answer is no. Throw the slingshot on. Many times in the gym, I've done triples with 500 pounds, and I've done sets of 4 and sets of 5 with 455. I've done a lot of extra work at the end of workouts with the slingshot on, with weights I could very easily perform even without the slingshot on. I've also benched singles and doubles and stuff that were well within range of me being able to use them with or without the slingshot. But use your slingshot. It's going to add volume, it's going to help you with your form, and it's going to allow you to handle a little bit more weight more safely. The rest interval between all these sets, which I forgot to mention earlier, is you're going to use 4 to 5 minutes rest. Typically at super training, we just rest until we're ready. Sometimes for some people feel like, for me, I like to keep going. I like to do 2-3 minutes at the most. Other people like to do 6 minutes, 8 minutes. Depends on the type of group that you're with, the type of people that you're training with. If you don't have people to train with, I highly advise you to start to find some people to train with. It's not easy. It's not easy to find training partners, but you're going to find you're going to go through training partners like you go through underwear at some point, because you're not going to find any ones that are going to be reliable. So it's okay to chew them up and spit them out and keep moving on until you can find somebody that is like-minded. You want to find somebody that will help improve your strength, and somebody who's going to be determined just like you are. So after the 4 weeks are completed, you will receive an invisible balloon from howmuchyoubench.net. Just wait by your mailbox. It'll be there shortly for those of you that have finished up. In week number 5, we're going to go for a max. Again, we're going to cheat the system on the repetitions. So we're going to keep the repetitions low in our warm-up. Again, make sure you get your body warm. You could hop on an elliptical for 5 minutes. You can jump some rope. There's a million different ways to warm up. Get your body temperature up. Get your body sweating a little bit. Do some shoulder circles. Do a little bit of bicep curls. Get your body warm before you actually start your training. It won't take away from your training. If it does take away from your training, then it means that your fitness level is way too low to begin with anyway. So it should enhance your training and not impede upon it. So this is another example of somebody benching in the 300-pound range, and they're going to go for a PR. This is somebody who benches about 315, as we used earlier in the warm-up as well. So they're going to start with the bar for 10 reps. They're going to move on to 95 pounds for 10 reps, 135 pounds for 10 reps, 185 pounds for 5 reps, 225 for 3, 275 for 1, 300 for 1, and then they're going to move on to go for a PR right there. Now their previous best was 315. They're going to go for 320. Don't get greedy and go for 325. Do 320, and then it may be possible that you're strong enough to even go for another one, go for 325 or 330, but make sure you get the PR first. I've seen too many people miss out on a PR because they've gone too heavy. They'll go for a 10-pound PR, 15-pound PR, 20-pound PR, and sometimes they miss it. So make sure you at least get the 5-pound PR first before you move on. Okay, so that was all the meat and potatoes of the Stronger for 30 Days bench press program. But you're not going to be able to make the progress that you want unless you're doing your assistance work. You have to do assistance work just as much as you do the main work. A lot of times here at Super Training, we will take about a half an hour on the main lift. Sometimes it takes that long, especially when you're training in a group. 20 minutes, half hour, sometimes 40 minutes. The rest of the workout, the same amount of time will be spent on assistance exercises. Assistance exercises for bench press go as follows. You got hammer curls, you got seated rows, you got lat pull downs, you got pull-ups, you got push-ups, you got tricep extensions. The list of exercises can go on and on forever. You got incline dumbbell presses, you got flat dumbbell presses, you got barbell incline. The list of exercises can really go on forever, but the main thing to realize is with your assistance exercises, they are to assist your bench press. So you're not really doing assistance exercises to assist your buddy's work. You're doing your exercises, you're putting your effort in where you feel you need it the most. So these exercises can be interchangeable. I wrote them out here for you specifically. So you have some of the best exercises that I've used over the years, some of the best exercises that I have found work really well for me. But over time, you're going to find the best exercises that work really well for you. Whenever you're following any program, whenever you follow any program, whether you're getting online coaching from somebody or you're following this program, you want to try to follow it to a T and give it its best shot first. Follow it 100%, follow everything that's written out. And then once you go through a program, once you get familiar with a coach or familiar with some of the programming that's out there, then that's when you can start to make some of your own adjustments. But at first, just follow the plan. It makes it a lot easier on you, and you don't want to be doing things that are off the plan that could possibly throw things off. So I'm going to go over the accessory work, some of the assistance exercises. Again, I like to work out with supersets a lot of times. So we have laid out for you guys a few supersets. The supersets allow you to condense your workout and allow you to get more work in a shorter period of time is basically what we're looking to do. So we got 4 sets of 10 reps. We got incline dumbbell bench press. And in between that, we're doing a bent over row with a barbell. And you're going to go 90 seconds rest, and you're going to repeat until all 4 sets of 10 reps are done. Whenever you're doing any sort of dumbbell work, I always like to have my thumb up rather than my thumb in towards my pec. I like to have my thumb up just because all the bench pressing I've done over the years is always like this, with my thumb towards my pec. And that does give you a nice stretch, and it does work your pecs really well. But I just figured when you're on a different angle, now you're on incline and you're doing flat dumbbells, the exercise is different already. So why not make it a little bit different by having the thumb pointing upward towards your shoulders. Once that's completed, we're going to move into dumbbell tricep extension and lat pull down. So B1, dumbbell tricep extensions, and B2 is lat pull down. The next movement is just a simple lat pull down. They're very simple, nothing too hard to figure out there. Just with your lat pull downs, there's 2 different ways of doing lat pull downs. You can do them where you lean way back and you try to pull the weight down as far as you can. I like to pull the weight down towards my sternum, towards my upper stomachs and towards my upper abs. I like to pull the weight down there because to me that helps kind of mimic that arch that we're looking for when we're bench pressing, and it helps tap into your lats a little bit the same feel that you might have when you're doing an actual bench press. Another way to do lat pull down is just straight down and try not to lean back much at all, and that kind of gets a little bit more of your rear delt and your lats at the same time. As we progress, as we move onward, we're finishing up the workout. We got 4 sets of 25 reps, some high repetition going on. We got push-ups in the slingshot, and we got face pulls. You're going to rest 90 seconds in between that and go back and forth until all 4 sets of 25 reps are completed. That pretty much wraps up day 1 of Stronger in 30 Days. You have your full program that we gave you, which expands across 4 weeks, with the 5th week being a test week. And then you have all the assistance exercises piled up to make you more strongest, increase the strength of those triceps, increase the strength of those pecs for some real bone-crushing power. I've been successful with different amounts of frequency on the bench press. I've done it once a week, I've done it twice a week, I've done it 3 times a week. It just kind of has always depended upon where I'm at in my career with my lifting. And also health. If my shoulders were banged up or my elbows were banged up or I had a little pec thing going on. As you guys know, I've had a few pec tears over the years. Anytime I've had any of those issues, I've only benched once a week because I was not able to turn it around and recover in time to be able to bench twice a week. Currently, I'm doing twice a week, and also the Stronger in 30 Days program allows you to bench press. You can either do it once a week or twice a week. I set it up so that you're getting enough work in on this one particular bench day that if that's all you wanted to do, then you could get away with doing that. But I know that many of you out there are dying to bench press more than once a week because, after all, It's about how much you bench, right? That's all we ever talk about. So without further ado, I'm going to move into the second bench day for the Stronger in 30 Days program. Jacked and Tan is something that I've been doing for a long time. It's the principle of not only lifting like a mofo, but also looking like one too. You want to be able to work on building larger muscles. Larger muscles oftentimes will be stronger muscles. You can create better leverages by gaining weight, by gaining fat, but you can also create better leverages by having more muscle. Look at some of the smaller lifters. Look at some of the guys in the 198-pound weight class. Those guys are super jacked. Jesse Norris comes to mind. Those guys are super jacked, and their musculature represents that of somebody who's in a much higher weight class, probably almost more like someone who's 242 or 250. Jesse Norris at 198 pounds probably has a similar amount of muscle mass to most guys that weigh 250 plus. The guy is super jacked, and the point is that by making yourself more jacked, by working on having more muscle, you're going to be stronger. I know for years a lot of bodybuilders were criticized for not being strong, but a lot of bodybuilders just weren't in tune with their strength rather than actually not being strong. They just never really did a lot of nervous system work. They worked more on their muscular system rather than their nervous system. But a lot of the bodybuilders were extremely strong, so it was kind of false that they weren't strong, especially when you look at the way that they lift. When they're lifting very slowly and they're lifting with a tempo, it's much different than what we're doing with powerlifting. You look at the likes of Ronnie Coleman, lightweight, yeah buddy. Ronnie Coleman was an absolute beast. And then, of course, we have Stan the Rhino Efferding, who came into powerlifting and just whooped up on everybody. So it's important to be jacked and tan. It's important that you have a day that you go in the gym and you work on your hypertrophy. Actually, that should always be a focus of what you're doing. You should have two main focuses as a power lifter. Focuses? I might have made one up right there. Anyway, you have two main things to focus on as a power lifter. And number one is getting stronger, and number two is getting more jacked. Those are the two things that we're after. And so I'm going to run you through the Jacked and Tan Day, which is basically an assistance day for the bench press. I have found personally that if I actually lay down on the bench press twice a week, that it becomes pretty harmful to my shoulders and to my elbows, and that I actually start to go backwards, and it's very hard for me to make progress, even if I go on a light and heavy day and stuff like that. It has to be very strategic. It has to be something that I map out for a short period of time. I can do twice a week, I can do 3 times a week, but it has to be really, really methodical. And so with that being said, I choose to do something slightly different. I like to have mainly an assistance day that backs up my main workout day on the bench press. This workout is to be done about 72 hours after your main workout. Who can figure out what that means? If you can't figure it out, if you can't figure out what 72 hours looks like, just know here at Super Training Gym, we bench every Thursday and we bench every Sunday. So you want to have 3 or 4 days in between your sessions, in between your bench sessions. The workout's going to look a little different in terms of even the warm-up. Again, we're trying to increase some work capacity. We're trying to get you guys in a little bit better shape on top of just being stronger, because again, when you're in better shape, you're going to be able to handle more. You'll be able to get in and out of workouts quicker. Your frequency will be able to increase. The more that you can handle, the stronger you're going to be, is the principle. So the warm-up, again, just get the body temperature up, 5 to 10 minutes on an elliptical, get on a rower. Any of that kind of stuff's going to work really well. Then from there, I want you guys to do 3 rounds of about 15 reps or 15 steps on the following. You got arm circles, just doing this whole thing, right? Doing arm circles, you're doing 15 reps. You're going to throw on a hip circle and do some hip circle walks. If you don't have a hip circle, just squat onto a bench. You can do like a box squat type of thing. Get out nice and wide, get a good stance, get a good base, and do sets of 15 there. Then you're going to do overhead presses with just about 10 pounds, 5 to 10 pounds. Don't really worry, we're not focused on strength just yet. Next movement's going to be a box squat. Those of you that don't have a hip circle, you're going to be doing a box squat twice. And you're gonna rest about 60 seconds, and then you're gonna repeat. And we're gonna do that for 3 rounds total, and then we're gonna start the actual jacked and tan portion of the lifting. Now with this style of lifting, we're not trying to move explosively. We're not trying to move the weight violently like we are in powerlifting. We're not trying to be super fast or anything like that, and we're also not trying to use tons and tons of weight. We need to lift the weights under control, and we need a 2 to 3 second descent and a 2 to 3 second concentric as well, with no pause and no locking out. No pausing and no locking out the weights. I'll say it again, no pausing, no locking out the weights, because what we're after a super pump. We're trying to get jacked and tan. We're trying to get as pumped as we possibly can. So in order to do that, we want to keep constant tension on our body, and we don't want to lock any of the weights out. Another huge benefit of not locking the weights out is that your joints are going to feel a lot better. They're going to be a lot healthier than every time you lock those joints out. It's really beating the hell out of your joints especially over a long period of time. So we already have the other day a week where we're doing that and we're executing the lift properly. This is a day that we get to have a little bit more fun, and we get to body build, and we get to just kind of throw weights around in a much different fashion. I want you guys to start to think about the mental side of all this. It's not talked about enough. The mental side of breaking through barriers, the mental side of breaking through plateaus. It's just simply not talked about in strength enough. And there's nothing more black and white than strength training. The thing that I love about powerlifting is that everyone possesses the ability to get stronger. Doesn't matter if you're old, doesn't matter if you're short, doesn't matter if you're young, doesn't matter if you're fat, doesn't matter if you're tall, it doesn't matter who you are. Wherever you currently are right now, you can get better, you can get stronger than you are right now. Whether it be 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 3 pounds, whatever it is. We all possess that ability. So it doesn't matter if you're on my level and you're trying to bench 600 pounds. It doesn't matter if you're on your level and you're trying to bench 200 pounds. We all possess the ability to get better, and your PR is just as cool as mine. Seeing you hit a personal record and personal best is fantastic and awesome and inspiring as well. And I think that's something that sometimes gets lost. People are always talking about the weight. They're always talking about 400 pounds, 500 pounds, 600 pounds. And while that is cool, what it is, it's a byproduct of doing something for a very long time and having consistency and determination over a really long time, over what is basically, essentially for me, a body of work. When I finally do hit that 600-pound bench in March of 2017, that's what it will be. It'll be a lifetime's worth of work poured into making sure that I hit that 600 pounds. You're going to want to make sure that when you're going through these exercises on the jacked and tan day, that you're not just haphazardly going through and busting out some curls. You're not just haphazardly doing some lat pull downs. You want to make sure that you're there with a purpose and you're there with an intent. And you want to focus in on all the things that have happened to you in your lifting career that have sucked, and also outside of the gym as well. Anytime you've been made fun of, anytime you've been put down, anytime somebody bullied you, anytime somebody doubted you, any self-doubt that you might have of yourself, this is a time to rearrange your brain and to just go ham on some weights and really enjoy yourself. Think about the missed opportunities that you may have had in your life. Think about the missed opportunities you may have had in the gym. Think about the last time you really rounded over with a heavy deadlift and you couldn't lock it out. Now when you're doing your face pulls, you can think about arching your chest up that much harder to make sure you slam those weights and lock those weights into position. Think about the last bench press that stalled out at the top of the lift, and think about how you left the gym early to go hang out with your friends, to go eat buffalo wings and watch some football. Think about that as you're in the middle of your workout, and think about that while you're doing your tricep extensions and while you're doing your close grip bench and while you're going through some of these exercises. Think about trying to make yourself better every single day. It can be overwhelming if you try to think about too many different things on how you're going to make yourself better. But if you focus in on one thing every day, focus in on just one thing every single day that can make you better, you'll be able to accomplish it. Remember what I just said about strength training. Remember how I just said that everyone possesses the ability to get stronger. It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter where they're at in their career. It doesn't matter how much money they have in the bank or how much money they don't have in the bank. Everyone possesses the ability to get stronger. And guess what? Everyone possesses the ability to get better. It's your job as part of the Power Project Army, as part of Super Training Gym, as part of some of the people out there that are following Stronger in 30 Days. It's your job to work on making yourself better every single day. And it's my job to make sure that we're making the world a better place to lift. And that's why I enjoy, this is a huge passion for me to transfer knowledge like this off to you guys. Now I'm going to walk you through some of the workout. Now that I got you fired up. Workouts are pretty simple. Again, a lot of supersetting going on. We're trying to get through this workout a little faster than the main program of the Stronger for 30 Days because this is bodybuilding. And so we're trying to get in and out of it quick. We're trying to get the pump going. Once you have the pump going, you can't let anybody slow down that pump. You can't let a phone call slow you down. You can't let a text message or a DM slow you down. You got to keep hustling through your workout, and then you can go do whatever the heck it was that you were doing before. So we're going to start out with some incline dumbbell presses. We're doing 3 sets of 10. And then from there, A2 is bent over rows. And we're doing some dumbbell rows, 3 sets of 10. You're going to rest 90 seconds, and you're going to repeat. Again, you always want to make sure you warm up. You always want to make sure that you warm up on the actual exercise that you're doing. Make sure that you're warming up with some dumbbells first. Find a weight. You always want to try to allow the reps to dictate the amount of weight that you're going to use. You can also do the reverse of that, but I'm asking you to do 10 reps here. So we're going to have the reps dictate the amount of weight that you're going to do. So if you think you can do 100 pounds for 10 reps, make sure that you can do 30 reps with 100 pounds because you got to do 3 sets of 10, not 30 reps in a row, but make sure that you can easily perform those 10 reps and make sure, again, that you are not missing any weights. Make sure we're staying on the same page here, folks, page 43. Moving on, we're going to move into flat dumbbell presses. We've got 3 more sets of 10. And in between that, we're going to be doing lat pull downs. We're going to rest 90 seconds and start over. Again, find a weight that's appropriate for the amount of reps that I asked you to do. The repetitions, this goes for everything that you're doing. This isn't just for the dumbbell press. This is information that you can carry onward to anybody that lifts. This is information that you can carry on to your kids. This is information you can carry on to whoever the hell will listen to you. Allow the repetitions to dictate the weight. You can also do the reverse of that, and you can allow the weight to dictate the repetitions. But as I'm saying here, in this particular case, I'm asking you to do 10 reps. So when someone says, hey, do 8 reps, do 10 reps, do 12 reps, in your head, you should have a good idea of what weight that would look like for you that you can handle easily, not too easily, but that you can handle for 3 or 4 sets of 10 reps. As we start to finish up the workout, we got C1 and C2. C1 is slingshot push-ups for max repetitions. And this is going to give you Tourette's syndrome. As you're going through this, you're going to yell out every cuss word that you possibly know. Whatever's in your vocabulary for cuss words, you're going to yell them all out because this hurts. This is painful. You're going to do as many reps as you can in the slingshot. Throw the slingshot on, hop on the floor, bust out some push-ups. Again, you want to try to keep that same tempo that we mentioned earlier. So you're not going like hell, you're not going super fast. You're going to be in control, 2 to 3 seconds on the way down, 2 to 3 seconds on the way up. And if you get to 50 reps, 60 reps, who knows where you're going to end up. We need you to do that for 3 sets. That's going to be extremely painful. In between that, you're going to be doing seated rows with a wide grip, 3 sets of 15, rest 90 seconds, and you'll repeat. And I'm telling you, it's really, really brutal. So as you're going through this, I want you to think of the fuck your elbow video that I made a while back. This is where you're going to have to put all pain aside for a minute. You're going to have to forget about the pain that your body's enduring at the moment, and you're going to have to bust through these reps whatever way you can get through them. Don't just stop at every 5 reps or every 10 reps. Make sure you really are striving for as many reps as possible. So if you end up with 37 reps, and that's what you end up with. It doesn't always have to be 40 reps or 50 reps or whatever. I would encourage you to have somebody, have a training partner yelling at you, have somebody trying to encourage you to continue onward. It helps a ton. And we got a little bit left to finish up with. We got D1 and D2. We got dumbbell front raises, 4 sets of 12, followed by some seated or standing overhead dumbbell presses, 4 sets of 12 reps as well. So again, you're going to rest 90 seconds after that. Then you're going to start the process over, back to D1, dumbbell front raises, 12 reps, seated or standing dumbbell presses, set of 12, back and forth until you're done. Once you're done with all that, you're going to do some cool down, and you're going to pretty much be done. What I would suggest for a cool down on any bench day is find a cable crossover, find a pec deck, and just do some really, really light work on there. Squeeze it together a little bit. Maybe walk on a treadmill for 5-10 minutes, something like that. Cool down is kind of a forgotten element of strength training, but it can be important to kind of get your heart rate level back down as you just elevated it with tons of energy drinks, pre-workouts, and tons of training. That concludes the Stronger for 30 Days. I really appreciate everybody that's following along, and I'm glad I can get this information out to you guys to make sure that those of you that have signed up for the newsletter at howmuchyoubench.net, those of you that are following the Stronger for 30 Days program, understand it to the fullest, because a lot of times we'll end up with a gap with what somebody thinks they're supposed to do and what a coach is telling them to do. Now you have all the proper information. We transferred the knowledge over to you. Now it's time for you to hit the gym, and it's time for you to prove that strength is never a weakness. That's it from me. Later.